You're live.
Awesome. Welcome back to Foiling Week 2021 and the Gurit Forum. I am your host, Chris Museler. And as usual, my co-hosts are actually a mix of co-hosts, Bruno Gentoli and Laura Marimon, live from Lago de Garda. We've had an awesome day, day two of the forum. And we just finished up a couple on safety, and now we're moving into eFoiling, which really it's strange that something that's not wind powered is really at the heart of Foiling Week. You know, sustainability is really important because we're using electrical power that hopefully comes from renewable energy. And there are efficiencies involved in hydrofoiling that can really revolutionize and are starting to revolutionize the recreational sports space and transportation and other areas where hydrofoils, water transportation, it's really useful and really efficient. So I can't be more excited to talk about eFoiling as it's come more and more online. It was only 3 or 4 years ago that Don Montague showed us the eFoiler, or his version of the eFoiler, the jet foiler, that just blew all of our minds. And you know, ever since then we have solar powered foiling boats, and we're just blazing into the future. So this is the future of eFoiling discussion. A lot has changed since 2017, and we first saw that jet foiler. And I'm going to introduce everyone. So we have Gustav Hasselskog. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Did I do okay? From
hello.
Candela. And then we have Massimo De Luca from Future Foiling and the Future E. And we've had him in Foiling Week before. We're excited to see him again. Luke Blecka from Zest and Mario Avisi from Lyft Hydrofoils. So we're really excited to have you here. And Lyft Hydrofoils are out on the water trialing. That's why we're missing some of our representation from Lyft, but we have Mario. So thank you so much, Mario. And my encouragement to the group, which I told them right before we got started, is to ask each other questions too. It's kind of rare, you know, it's kind of competitive in some ways and kind of new in other ways to have eFoiling technology compete in the marketplace. You know, we're talking about a lot of products, not just concepts. So the first thing I want to really get talking about was, you know, it's one thing to kind of put an electric engine and use the efficiencies of hydrofoils. It's another thing to find out what's the market for that. So maybe I really want to go to Gustav first, because the Candela's hydrofoiling recreational boats look a lot like just really luxury motorboats. But they float and they have a kind of a unique hydrofoil system, and they're really tapping into a pretty large segment of the market, kind of like luxury motorcraft and small luxury motorcraft, comfortable, stable, and fast. So how did the market find you, Gustav, or are you creating a new market with hydrofoils and recreational motorboating?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's sort of the initial time with Candela has been dual, in the sense that it's kind of weird with a boat that is flying, and some customers think it's super weird, whereas others are super enthusiastic about the whole technology and what we're doing. So we kind of see both things there. So I think one of the key purposes for us that we are into this market right now, and which drives also future or the design we do currently, is to make the foiling technology popular and sort of really establish it and get full market acceptance. Because from a technology perspective, it's superior to normal planing boats, and also we see that it should be possible to reach very close in terms of cost to normal planing boats. So yeah, to me, it's clear that this is the way the market's going to move. So we just need to make that happen as quick as possible.
Cool. And we're going to talk about the specific technology in the boats and the craft that you all are designing and producing and selling. Massimo, you know, we look at the open Candela boat, and then we look at what do we call it? The Future E, which looks like a car than anything else. Is the market the same for something like that, you know, that Gustav is looking at for kind of a sport boat?
Well, our vision was something like to give let's say a luxury tool, a luxury toy for all, because we work mostly as a technical office for shipyards, and it comes often the request to have a special custom made toys or tender to move around from the mother ship to the harbor. So our vision was to give, let's say, a nice luxury tool, toy that could be fully efficient. Because I mean, nowadays with the electric, of course, this is the future that everybody is looking at. And at the same time, very comfortable, because it's most of the times people that goes on this kind of tender are people that are not so much familiar with the yachting, so they want to be stable, don't shake in the waves. So give some kind of a nice looking and I think a way to move around and in an exclusive way.
Cool, awesome. And we talked. I guess Gustav just mentioned about comparable getting market acceptance.
Yeah.
We know that hydrofoils done correctly on motorcraft and electric motorcraft too. They are superior to planing boats. I rode on a center console that had a lifting foil, like a V foil in the front, just to reduce the pounding, just a little pushback. And we know that riding clear of the water is superior to regular planing hulls. And we also know that, at least in the United States, 3, 4, 5, 600 horsepower outboards on gas powered outboards on these motorcraft. I don't understand where the money is coming from, but people are happy to buy those boats. So I agree with Gustav that price competitiveness might, it's probably true. Luke, tell me about the Zest project and how does that fit into the market?
Yeah, so we are more driven by environmental push. I mean, this energy turn, and we are more interested in the energy efficiency actually of that to bring to transport of passengers. Mm-hmm. So we are at the larger scale, and it is very interesting to combine all the benefit of the hydrofoils for transport of passengers. Because we have, you mentioned it all already, so I just repeat what you said, but the comfort is exceptional. Mm-hmm. So you can really put people that maybe are scared to go and take a boat instead of a bus. You have energy efficiency, so it's also interesting not only for environment, but also for economical reasons. So your operational costs are lower. And that's one of the major problems with the high-speed craft for transport of passengers. They were drinking too much fuel, and they had to stop because they were not efficient enough. They used foil, but they were too heavy. And really now we have all the technology components to make a boat that is efficient, light, and reduce the cost of driving the boat. So we can go fast, we can go comfortable, and we can bring people in big center cities like New York, San Francisco, Osaka, all these big cities that are now jammed with a lot of cars, and they need to go around the bay. You can just cross it with a high-speed foiler, and you are efficient. So a lot of benefits.
Awesome. So now what we're doing is we just crossed over in the conversation from luxury motorcraft and, like Massimo said, toys, which is fantastic. And there's a lot of value in that, not just to allow people to enjoy the water the way they want to comfortably, also reduce their footprint and energy. Luke is talking about really focusing on using those efficiencies and what we use in all this design technology to be more efficient, to save fuel, and to transport people. I'm wondering, Mario's from Lyft Hydrofoils, And last I checked, you don't do boats. You do small boards with beautifully designed and built hydrofoils and tiny little engines that fit into the fuselage. Do you have the same design challenges that Massimo and Gustav and even Luke in transportation have?
First of all, thank you, and hi everyone. Yeah, so we have a lot of, it's not easy it hasn't been easy to develop an eFoil, and Nick, our co-founder, worked on this idea night and day for 5 years. But the main idea for us is to build something that is fun for us. So basically, Lyft was born, is a Puerto Rico-based company, was born in 2010 with making classic foils and surfboards. And then we have been riding the products that we have been making since the beginning. And so the eFoil was created by Nick, and Nick patented this product in the US with the idea of the custom portrait for the ultimate ride that has always been part of our DNA. So basically, our challenges are, always to perfect our product, to have more fun and to welcome more and more people into the fun. And also an eFoil is the perfect entry door for people that right now wants to start, wing foiling, or are approaching the foil world, but they're not expert yet. So for us, it's all about fun.
Cool. And I want to throw this out to the group, and then I'm going to go over to Laura, who is an engineer. I wanted to understand right now, in the products that you guys are designing and building and selling, at the moment, what's the hardest solution, or where are you putting the most effort into development? So that is hydrofoil design and construction, or is it the batteries, weight of the batteries or longevity of the batteries, or is it the engine? So when I say hydrofoil, I mean like the boat too and stuff like that. But which of those three are you putting the most effort into in terms of improvement? Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah. So why don't we'll start with Gustav again and work our way around.
Yeah, I think I have quite some experience of all the difficulties you can have when designing a hydrofoil boat. I have a few cents to add to this conversation. So I think, everything is difficult. And I usually felt like I had like 10 problems per day to solve. And after a while, you get used to that. And you're happy standing in a shitstorm. And it becomes sort of a way of living. Now, I think, looking back, I think the most challenging aspect has always been around mechanics for us. In a harsher environment with extreme loads, you want to push the design so it's hydrodynamically efficient, so it gets tiny, it breaks in ways you didn't expect, and it's hard to predict exactly how the force is going to act on the different parts when you're running in rough sea and so on. So, if I would single out one thing, that would be mechanics in general, and especially around the foil system, obviously. Then what's nice with kind of the foil control system, as we have a auto control system for the foils, is that that's all software mainly. So once you have the sensors right and you have decent actuators, then you can work on that, and it doesn't really cause you problems. It's more, you can constantly improve it, and it's a much nicer thing than breaking something and then have to wait for 6 weeks until you get going again and try something new that also breaks.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And we'll work down. Luke, what's for on the transportation side of things, if you can kind of try to pick one area, whether it be the mechanics, ride height control, all that kind of stuff, or structure, or batteries, or engines, I mean, they're all important, but what's the one that might be holding you back and you want to work on more for your efficiencies?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I will not answer to your question straight, because I think what we are now working on most is on the system, actually, to put all these different components together. Yeah. We are coming from the space industry, so we know that when you do a product, it has to work, because when it's orbiting the Earth. You cannot go and fix things, and on the water is the same. You don't want to have a boat that cannot go to the harbor and it's stuck somewhere. So you really have to have something that is robust, reliable, efficient, and cost-effective. And we have really this additional problem or challenge to have a cost-efficient because we want to transport people and not very rich people, so normal people like me and you. That doesn't want to pay 100 francs for just crossing a lake or something like that. So we have to be very efficient also on that way, which brings really a lot of effort on the system. So to be sure that the mass is okay, the power is okay, you don't oversize things, and all these things make a whole system that is quite difficult to optimize. And you have to do some optimization. So, sorry, but it's a bit everything.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think everyone in this group will agree as well. And Massimo, on the future E, I mean, obviously design-wise, and by the way, we are challenged with internet in Lake Garda, so we will, unfortunately, people watching live won't see this, but in the post-production, and then when this is back up, we'll see a lot of these images. But obviously, the Future E is a beautiful, pretty contained package. But what's the area that you guys are putting your most effort into kind of improving the product?
Well, like we said many times, I mean, the technology nowadays is improving very much. So in terms of overall problems, in terms of efficiency of the foils, we did a massive job on the optimization of the foils and the aerodynamic shape of the bottom of the hull. So the hull, I mean, we did a massive usage of CFD to optimize the bottom and reduce the resistance overall. At the same time, the materials nowadays, we did a massive usage of the highest technology in terms of choice of material like carbon fiber and titanium for the kinematics. What still remain, the biggest issues nowadays is the fact of the batteries. So because as you can imagine, one boat that have a weight around 1.5 tons, the batteries, it's really it's very a big point in terms of weight distribution and most of all storage. So where to store these batteries, try to reduce as much as possible the amount of batteries, but the space available is not that much. Right. So now we are trying to work hardly on this direction in the way to, let's say, to arrive to a point to have some kind of custom-made batteries that can follow, for example, the bottom of the boat. Like normally in the boats, you can have this kind of structural tank for the fuel. We would like to have some kind of structural batteries on the bottom of the hull, where normally you cannot do nothing apart of just storage. So this is for us is the biggest challenges part, because apart of that, I mean, the technology gives us a lot of freedom to arrive at the point. But you know, as you can imagine, everybody are asking, I want to have more range. How many hours I can be going full foiling? I say, guys, okay, we need to check. No, this is the most tricky part. You know, of course, as much batteries you put, as much increase the weight and the much lift you need, and it's a big spiral loop that will never end. So to find a good balance, that's the task.
I love talking about batteries. Torqeedo has been a really engines and battery technology, and BMW has been a partner with Foiling Week, and so has Torqeedo. So I love talking about that. And I guess it's the same problem for everyone. Moving over to Mario, you know, man, you have the tiniest package of all these products. And when Luke was talking about you can't get stuck in a harbor, these guys are, you know, if you get stuck, you're stuck out in the ocean, like by yourself. So what are the challenges that Lyft has? I mean, you obviously range, like Massimo talked about. Range is really important, but you have a small board. It has to be light, and the engine has to be really small. So what are the areas that you guys are focusing on right now? Can you improve your product right now? So small.
So basically, we just launched the new product, the third generation of our Lyft, and we focused on two things. basically the reliability and the range of our batteries, and for sure the efficiency of our wings and masts and board. So basically, we extended the right time. That is one of the most important things for our customers. Up to 2 hours. And the other challenge that we have is production, because right now the demand is crazy out there, and so basically we are growing, we are doubling year on year, and so the big challenge for us is to go from hundreds of pieces to thousands of pieces, because we have to trust our supply chain, and as you know, right now is very difficult to build a reliable supply chain that is all over the world. So basically, we built a new factory that is a 22,000 square feet factory in Puerto Rico, in which we can make boards and wings and whatever, and we are partnering with super high level suppliers. But to escalate and to be able to make more and more people happy is one of our biggest challenges right now.
Awesome. And now let's go to the big picture. I mean, they're not making thousands, or at least not yet, thousands of Candela motorboats or their future E, or even hydrofoiling ferries. But I think there's some cross-pollination. The people who enter eFoiling through Lyft look to see where they can go. And that's where our other guests, we all fit into the puzzle. Laura, looking at this big picture and landscape, eFoiling is very new, and we've been talking about it at Foiling Week for a long time. The products are becoming available in a bunch of different spaces. Where do you see the value? A lot of this stuff is recreational besides what Luke is talking about. Where do you see the value in the maritime industry of these kind of smaller businesses developing eFoiling? But how it impacts the greater marine industry? You there, Laura?
Yeah, sorry. I'd like to ask kind of the same question, especially to Gustav and Luke and Massimo, I guess, on the logistics sides of things. I know that moving to electrification, how do you work hand in hand with the port and harbors, for example, to improve the possibility of charging, charging points and stuff like that? And it goes to transport, safety. I know, Gustav, you just won the award in Stockholm to get the taxi or the ferry there. So aligning that in a vision of a more sustainable kind of passenger transport, and how you see the one-off or a customer kind of specific product, and it grows to instead being super safe and going to seakeeping conditions in the future with passengers or more vessels and more people being able to enjoy foiling and a more sustainable way to transport.
Yeah, those are two actually big questions. One of them started with the relationship with where you use the boats, charging, and the back end, and the other is the customer experience. Yeah.
No, I mean, in the leisure boat market, we see that charging is not really a big topic. Typically, customers have either 1 times 16 amps or 3 times 16 amps, and some get even more. And if you have 3 times 16 amps, it takes you 4 hours to charge the boat, and then you can run for like 2.5, 3 hours. So, and boats are not really used. Pleasure boats are not really used in the same way as a car, that you decide, okay, I want to go from here to there, and I must have a certain range, and charging it is just a waste of time. Instead, customers tend to they have what they have in the tank or in the battery. So that is not a big issue. And also when it comes to infrastructure there, it would be hard for us to drive that globally. The density of boats is just too small. But I don't think it's a big problem. Then it's much easier when we talk public transportation, because there you need a few charging spots. And the boat we are, or the vessel we are developing now, there we have 1 hour of charging time and 3 hours of running time in cruise speed. And to get that is not very dramatic in terms of power. It's roughly sort of 2 times a normal Tesla supercharger in power, and that can be built. And if you work with the cities on this topic, they are typically super eager to get going. So they will provide the cables and get that part of the piping done. So yeah, and you don't need very many points to charge in a setting like Stockholm archipelago. If we have 10 charging spots, we cover the whole archipelago and we're good. Then the topic, I think you raised the topic of sort of the hurdles for increasing the market and the connection to safety and wave handling. So, you know, wave management is a topic that is very big for us. We work on that both from a mathematical simulation point of view, in trying to understand how boats get affected by waves and what waves are and how they get built up, and sort of hold the wave from sort of flat water wind type of waves and the different sort of spectrums of frequencies you have in different type of environments into sort of advanced simulation models and even more advanced control algorithms that we're using today, benefiting from new type of sensors, so on. The other aspect of that is obviously connected to the foils as such. I think the main problem for all hydrofoil boats is the issue around ventilation and how you deal with that. So, I mean, if you go out with if you have a wasp or a moth, once you cut the surface, you lose all lift and you fall down. That's not something that can or should happen or would be allowed to happen in a passenger ferry. So you need to crack that, both from a software perspective, but also from a hydrodynamic perspective. So we do a lot of research into the area. It's kind of under-researched. So if you look into the research papers on that, they're pretty crude, and most of them are pretty old. And it's complex phenomena with laminar and turbulent flows and boundary layers, and the Navier-Stokes equations don't give you the full truth if you put them into computers. So CFD is not useful typically, even if you have the most expensive tools. So yeah, which also makes it intellectually super stimulating to try to crack that topic. The solution is there. You just need to find it.
Awesome. And I guess I'm going to shift that topic just a little bit in terms of talking to people outside of the industry. Like what are the worries with operating hydrofoils in, in other spaces around the world, harbors, off oceans? I know it's a little bit different with passenger ferries because you work directly with agencies that manage the harbors around the world. But for Massimo and Mario, if a super yacht has one of your products, what's the thought in the companies about restrictions that might be put on these hydrofoils? Now I'm just talking kind of a bigger picture. I know, Mario, I have experience when kite foiling first came around, acceptance in harbors and beaches and that kind of stuff. And it's just a little early on right now, hydrofoils popping up in areas around the world. So maybe that question for Mario and Massimo, what's the discussion in your offices about restrictions in terms of use?
Massimo, if you allow me to start in that, eFoiling is illegal in some parts of the world at the moment. Already. So basically, if you go to Canada, if you go to Switzerland, if you go to other countries, you cannot eFoil. And there is also some weird law, let's call it, that we can sell eFoils, for example, in Canada at the moment, but people cannot operate them. And basically, there is this kind of gray area in which we are in a very nice and open discussion with the local authorities, and they are super honestly, they're very supportive, but it's not easy and it's not fast. It cannot be fast to change the law and to define all the rules. Basically, we are already facing this kind of restrictions, and it's a new,
what is
it's a new world.
what is the reason for those restrictions? I mean, it sounds kind of absurd that smoking pot gets legalized while running eFoils get banned. Where's the world heading?
That's a very good point, and also, Gustav, consider also that you can use in some areas you can use a jet ski, that is much more dangerous potentially, than an e-foil, and you cannot use an e-foil because there is the prop. Basically, the problem is that the prop is exposed, even if there is a guard, there is a. But the problem right now is the prop. Yeah, anyways, we are there is a gray area, and understand that local authorities are not aware of these products and don't have a clear idea about how to handle this kind of situation right now. There is no any, let's say, consistent regulations all over the world. So some governments are acting in a different way. We honestly, so what I see is that for sure in a couple of years, everyone will see that e-foiling is a great sport. I'm sure about that, and is much less dangerous than many other activities that people do in the water. Is not dangerous for animals or other people. The main point is but this is the same with everything. I was working for Ducati in the motorcycle industry before. If you use it in the proper way, if you respect the machine, if you respect other people, if you respect the water or the road, you know what I mean? These tools are super safe. So, but these are ongoing conversations that we are having with a lot of local authorities all over the world.
Awesome, and that
May
really.
I
go ahead.
add to that in terms of discussion with authorities, because we are doing that quite a lot now, especially in Stockholm, but also with other cities where we are selling passenger ferries. The experience so far is that the fact that we don't make any wake almost is really a driving force for getting them to open the doors, but also to drive the discussion around speed limits. So Luke already mentioned that. I mean, we see lower operational costs with hydrofoil ferries than with normal ferries, and they don't pollute and so on. But they can also run faster because of the lack of wake, which makes it super exciting, because then you can move traffic from road to water, and typically have a lot of water when you have congested roads. So I think, but it takes a lot of time to work with all these authorities. So you need to be a fairly big company to have the time. And I guess for you, I mean, you're selling a board all over the world. You can't have one guy in every country try to sort of unlock the politicians to make that happen. So you better move to next country if you get banned, I guess.
Well, let's shift the conversation a little bit. Bruno had a question. Sorry, Massimo, we're gonna shift for a second. But Bruno.
Yeah, my question was related especially mostly to Massimo, Luke, and Gustav. And how do you deal with this more safety issues concerning the hydrofoil heating stuff? I know for Gustav, having tried the Candela, it's a super safe boat. I felt like driving a car, literally. Like you can turn like on the street, but there's always, since you're in a small vessel like the Lyft, if you hit something and you fell on the water, like into Archimedean mode, it's not a big deal. In the case of, let's say, Luke for Cest and on the big ferry for Candela in the future, how are you assessing this potential risk of, let's say, hitting a log on the water, where you cannot really go from a 25 knot ride into a lot of drag and Archimedean mode from like in a split of a second?
Yeah, I can maybe take that. Yeah, I mean, it's a concern. I think it also needs to be put in relationship to sort of hitting a log with any other type of vessel. super nice either. But anyway, the approach we have to this, first of all, you need a mechanical solution that breaks away if you hit something hard, so that you know the integrity of the hull must be there, so the boat still floats. And then you need to ride the boat in sort of a way that losing parts or all of the foil system due to something, if it's a rock or a log or whatever, the boat should land in a safe fashion. Obviously, it's going to be with a fairly fast retardation probably, but I don't assess it to be unsafe in sort of a serious way. That is to be proven. I mean, we need to do a lot of tests on that. But then I think sort of for the whole community working on these topics, underwater sensors is of course a thing to move ahead with. And I think we're going to see probably underwater sonars in the future looking forward. It's unclear today, I think, how effective those can get. But combined with some artificial intelligence approach, you should be able to hopefully detect stuff. The problem is if you run in big waves and then you sort of line of sight underwater is not fantastic. So it's not easy, but so at the end of the day, you need to be able to crash into something and survive.
Cool. Laura has a quick, Massimo, please respond to that. Yeah. Oh, you're on mute.
No, our
Massimo.
vision. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, cool. No, I will say just briefly our vision about these topics that for us is very fundamental because, like I said before, most of our clients that we are having for are people that are not so much familiar with what is really foiling. It's just so they don't know how to do that. And so we want to make them as much comfortable as possible, but also safe as possible. So our goal is to try to make the boat flying and not so high, like sometimes could be better from foiling point of view, fly as high as possible to reduce the drag. But let's say to kind to be able to have a boat working from, let's say, from a foil assisted mode to the full foiling. So depending on the condition of the boat or the, let's say, sea state, to be able to fly in different conditions at a different speed and make it, let's say, the typical slamming reduce as much as possible. And to do so also our hull forms has been done in this way. So we optimize the hull forms in the way to be, let's say, as much flat as possible from to make them landing. Okay, hard the landing will be hard, but at the same time safe. That's it. I mean, that's our idea about that.
Cool. And Laura, you had a question.
Yeah, I have a question for Luke. I know shipping is industry and rules and regulations, especially, are a bit reluctant in composites and perhaps even foiling for passenger vessels. So are you working with someone like DNV or Lloyd's Register or a regulation company to get new rules approved for your case?
Yes, of course. So I think we touch a topic here of safety. This is the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about high speed foiling. People are a little bit scared, not all, but some of them. And I think us as an industry, we have really a responsibility to bring products that are reliable, because we are also in a society that doesn't allow too much error. So we have to bring products that are safe and reliable. And we have been discussing with Bureau Veritas and the NVGL, because we really focus on worldwide business for the high-speed impact. We are also using hydrogen. So hydrogen is a whole topic also. It's safe, but you have to know how to deal with hydrogen. There is quite a lot of discussion also with the harbor authorities because they have to have the infrastructure for it. So you cannot go everywhere on the world, and for the material is a big challenge too, because you think, yes, I can put CFRP everywhere, but then what happens if you have fire and all that stuff? So you have to take all these constraints in mind at the start, actually. Otherwise, you come to a dead end.
Gotcha. Now, I am going to steer this conversation. We only have 5 minutes. We can talk about this forever. So I want to talk about two things. One of them is kind of environmental solution. So eFoiling as a way to do a bunch of things. Reduce our carbon footprints, reduce the use of fossil fuels, and even in our manufacturing processing, thinking about upcycling, recycling, all those areas. But I mean, it seems like there's a potential that is starting to be used in the efficiency of hydrofoils and electric energy that is going to make a good positive environmental impact. Maybe if we can just go around the group, obviously some people look at Candela or the Future E or a Lyft, and they don't think about the environment at all. They just want to have a really great time. It looks cool. It's fun. It's quick. It's magical, right? We love hydrofoiling. But maybe if each one of you can tell us your philosophy as far as beyond just making product and selling product, what your environmental philosophy is and your hope. You know, what can you do better going forward to really make this a product that is environmentally important?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can start on that one. Yeah, I think, I mean, if we look into the environmental footprint, and if we start with the carbon dioxide topic, so the designs we have now are reducing the drag with roughly 80% compared to a normal boat, and then we're also developing new technologies within propulsion. So compared to a gasoline based approach, we reduce the overall energy need with something like 94%. And when you have reached that level, I think the sort of the responsibility you have as leader for a company is then to really scale that technology. So that is sort of the focus we have now. And scaling means we have talked about safety, robustness is a key topic, of course, because it's a completely new vehicle and a lot of new stuff in it. It will break in the beginning, and you need to work hard to make it robust. And then it's about bringing down the cost so you can scale the volumes. And at the end, if you like us are dealing with technology development, it would make sense also to resell the technology to others. So that is kind of my true vision here to scale, because we will continue to develop the product also in sort of environmental aspects. But I think it's, the 94% is enough to push it hard, and then you can fine tune it. But obviously, I mean, some of the building materials like epoxy and other stuff, we need to get rid of someday.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're working, our Sumoth challenge coming up, we'll be tackling that as well. And Luke, how about you on the environmental side of things? What's the constant challenge and what's your hope?
Yeah, I think what said Gustav, I fully agree. That's really the motivation. The first one, the one also you have to realize that going around a lake or an estuary or a bay, you drive 60 kilometers where you can do 10 kilometers straight. That's really a big thing. And frankly, me also, I came to Zest because I'm a sailing man on Lake Geneva, and there are all these big boats doing lots of waves, and that's pollution too. So having a boat that doesn't do waves and is silent, because electric propulsion has a unique feature that's pretty silent.
Yeah,
that's also pollution, and I think it brings a lot of advantages. And hydrogen is the last thing, and it's really a very nice circle where you use water to create energy, and you recreate water at the end, so you have no byproducts whatsoever. So it's a really nice technology.
Yeah, awesome solutions. And the noise and wave pollution, you're 100% right.
And most of all, bear in mind that, Chris, another important thing that we need to remember that, I mean, if you talk about electric boat, there is no way that you can talk about electric boat, I believe, without talking about foil. Because I mean, full electric boat that won't be falling, there is no chance that you can have a good range and a good speed with just electric propulsion system. This is something, I think it's something strictly related that, I mean, at the same time brings to it's a win-win situation. So you use the foil to have an higher efficiency boat with electric propulsion system, and you work well also for the environment from two side point of view. Pollution, not pure pollution in terms of using other systems like thermal engines, but also reduce the weight pollution. So this is a win-win situation.
Yeah, awesome. And then Mario.
And also, yeah, because I was adding that for us, eFoiling, help us to reduce also the mental pollution, because for us is a kind of meditation, right? So the silence point that Luke mentioned before, and Massimo as well. So for us it's very important. So I take personally my meditation moments during the week eFoiling. So I live in Los Angeles, I go to Malibu, I eFoil in the middle of the ocean, and really that's in silence, looking at things from a different perspective. That's something new that I would love everyone to be able to experience, because for me is that so we take inspiration from the water, from the nature, to design our stuff, and we live that kind. I really believe that all the technology that this community, this electric hydrofoiling community is building, will help us to live a better life from pollution reduction point of view, but also from a human point of view. You know what I mean? This is very important. This is from a personal point of view. This is super important for all of us.
Awesome. And that leads me into my last question for everyone. But backtracking to what Mario said, for Candela, Zest, and Future E, I think you should just take that quote and put it in your next advertisement. I think it'd be perfect.
It's a good one.
So, and thank you for that, Mario. And we know that.
I think that Mario mentioned something very interesting, because all this stuff of environment, a lot is in the head of the people. So we have a lot of technology. We can already do a lot with what we have, and a lot is just here. So stop using SUV to go in a city, and use an eFoil to clear your mind. That's in there. So I think that's very important.
Awesome. I love it. And you're preaching to the choir here, and what we're talking about now is reaching out to groups outside of our community, outside of even the water sports or even maritime space, and people who wouldn't consider using these things. My last question, and thank you all for your support. We are going to have in the post-production all the pictures and some videos of what you all are working on. There are links through Foiling Week to these discussions. So that's awesome. The last question is when are you all getting out on the water? We'll go around again from Gustav. Are you going to go out today?
Well, I'm going to go out to the summer house tomorrow morning. And that's a stretch of like 20 nautical miles. So then I of course use a candela. And then I have the board from Dawn out there. So
it's still working.
Yeah. It's fantastic. So I have two boys, so we're gonna run a lot tomorrow. That's the plan. And I'll remember the meditation aspect of Mario, although I'm still a beginner, and it doesn't. I can tell you that doesn't feel like meditation yet. I'm super stressed.
Awesome, understood. And how about you, Luke?
The same with my wife.
I have to watch the Switzerland, the Spain match first, and then tomorrow I will go sailing pro. Yeah.
Awesome. How about you, Massimo?
I mean, our boat unfortunately will not be ready so soon, but very soon. I mean, we are getting closer to the production. So the idea is to have the prototype ready for next spring. So so it can be ready for the saloon exhibition. But so I mean, unfortunately, I won't be going with my boat. I will try to go with other boats that we are working at the moment, other projects that we are doing at the moment.
Awesome.
Unfortunately, not falling and not electric.
All right. Well, keep looking for something to jump on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Mario might have a lift close by for you.
Yeah.
So
Let's do
Mario,
it.
when are you going out on the water?
I hope tomorrow to join you guys in Malcesine. Nicola has bought 2 boards over there, and so we can have some fun together.
Cool. And Laura and Bruno, closing words for us.
Well, I will bounce on what Mario was saying, the meditation part of it. Laura and I, we learned eFoiling yesterday. It took us not too long, some minutes on Lyft, and it's awesome. Like once you get a grab, then you're cruising. I don't know, 15 knots, 20 knots, whatever it is.
Yeah. Look on the Facebook page. I did see a picture of you giving a wasp sailor a high five. Did you crash?
He wanted a ride actually. There was no wind. He told me, "Yeah, can you take me?" And yeah, it was not so easy.
Awesome.
May I just say a big thank you to Chris and Bruno and Laura for all the amazing work they're doing at Foiling Week. I think it's fantastic, and it's all sort of pro bono, and hang in there. I love what you're doing.
Thank you, guys. And we can't have Foiling Week without everyone putting all their heart and effort into their projects. And it's just strange, but we just have the coolest people in the foiling community. So we're really lucky.
Even being used to foiling myself, every time I sail up and start foiling is another experience.
The foiling smile we talk about.
Yeah, the foiling
I can't really
smile.
describe it. And every time I go out sailing, my wasp or whatever, it's just every time you lift up is amazing. It's just another feeling.
Awesome. Well, the term that we're going to steal from our foil surfing friends is frothing. So this whole group is frothing on foiling, and we're happy to continue on through our second day of Foiling Week 2021 and the Gurit Forum. Thank you, everyone. Gustav, Luke, Massimo, Mario,
Thank you.
Bruno, and Laura. I'm your host,
guys.
Chris Museler, and thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the next session.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Good weekend.